Hello, everybody. Welcome to another jam-packed edition of David Lee Madison's The End of the Night. Joe's looking at me like, yeah, sure, Dave, jam-packed. I'm your host, David Lee Madison. This is the lovely and talented co-host and producer, Mr. Joe Ridgely. Joe, how are you, my friend?
I am excellent, thank you. Glad to be here again on another Sunday night. And it is jam-packed, actually. I mean, you have three guests on today.
Yes, we have three guests tonight. We have some of the brightest faces in independent cinema going to be joining us tonight. Yeah, we'll get these and some wonderful filmmakers in a little bit. Joe, you know I like to start off the show with plugging your beautiful wife and daughter's company, so why don't you show them a little love?
Absolutely, thank you very much. That would be Hearts of the Mystic Folk. They're all natural scented wax melts, wickless candles, and room sprays. Check them out at heartsofthemysticfolk.com on Facebook and in some retail in Florida.
Oh, sweet, that's awesome. You know, it's funny. The last time we were on was our Academy Award show, and as we were bantering on with our ridiculousness, it was actually a lot of fun. The whole Will Smith, Chris Rock thing happened live while we were talking. And at the time, I think the only one of us who was able to see any footage was our co-host at the time, J.W. Caldwell, who's just the bee's knees and knows everything about cinema and movies and the Academy Awards. He was watching it live, and at the time, I think they cut out a good deal of what displayed it was actually a real event happening. And wow, man, we really dropped the ball on that one. We could have been laughing our ass off at Will Smith's expense all night, but
If we had the right feed, but
if so, yes, that was definitely an interesting thing to have happened, and actually, as somebody who loves cinema, who loves the Academy Awards, who just loves everything about Hollywood, it was really just a very very sad event, and things like that shouldn't happen. Be that as it may.
well, this is a great way to plug what else we have. If you guys missed our Oscar episode, go to our YouTube channel, the
Yes.
Indie Escape YouTube channel. You can catch a replay there.
Yes, and we need, listen, everybody, look at my face. This is serious Dave. You've watched this show now for years. You've listened to Joe hack for years now. It's very, very important that you join the YouTube page. I'm being deadly serious. We want to get up to 1,000 subscribers. It's very, very important to us. So please, if you want our programs to keep going on, this show has never ever asked you to buy merchandise, never asked you to donate, never asked you to help us keep the servers on or anything. We just want people to subscribe and to watch the program. So please help us out.
Doesn't
Please
cost
help
a
us.
thing.
Yep. Please help us get up to the subscribership that we need on YouTube. We're only 30 or so people away from doing it. So please help us get there. Ask your friends. Sell your body if it's going to get us extra view. Whatever you need to do to get us to where we need to be. And Grunkle Scott, Joe, and I really love doing this show. We love bringing you some of the most interesting, wonderful guests that are on any show on the web, which is really the truth. We have a who's who of Hollywood. We have a who's who of music. We have a who's who of independent cinema. We have really just some wonderful guests here, and we love doing the show. So help us spread the word about it.
Now we got a couple of comments. We got Ken, good evening, friends and foes. And we have Gianna. And that is an excellent question. And the reason we need those subscribers on YouTube is so the network actually gets a website to actually do that for all the members. Just remember, none of us get paid. This is all for fun and to hang out with you guys. So, yes.
We do have merch. I autograph beard hairs, and I give them away, so I guess it's not merch. CJ, how are you, my friend? All right, I know we have tons of guests tonight. We have a lot of
Yes.
things to get to, and I want to do a segment I haven't done in a long while, Joe, before we bring Grunkle Scott on. Hidden gem films that I really dig or had or just have something interesting to say about them. And I only have three tonight, so I'm not going to torture everybody. Joe, you sound hollow tonight.
Hollow tonight. Do I sound bad? I'm going to have to look into that. Thank you. Do I
Trust
sound
me,
hollow to you?
we recently X-rayed Joe's head, and we found nothing. So don't worry about it.
Is this better or worse?
That's now kind of hissy.
Then let's do that. And let's cut one of those off, and
Oh, now we're talking. Something you just did made you more bassy.
you know why? Yes, it's on my camera microphone, and not. I don't know why it changes automatically. You bastards. Okay, I should sound better.
Now you sound wonderful.
Okay, thank you.
No, you sound like, remember those really top-notch mics that you used to have? You sound even better. You sound even better than those. All right, this is there's a lot of werewolf films coming out, and I'm guilty. I'm one of those clowns who were making a werewolf film. But this is one that came out about 3 or 4 years ago, and I think it was made in Britain, but it was just a wonderful, wonderful werewolf film. I don't know. It all takes place on a train in Europe, and it was just a wonderful, creepy, atmospheric werewolf film. Did you see it?
Yes.
Howl.
Yes.
If you guys get a chance to catch just a truly wonderful, small, independent horror werewolf film, and when I say small, independent, it probably cost $5 or $6 million. We're not talking about super small independent horror film, but just a great, great werewolf romp with wonderful, wonderful shots, beautiful cinematography, and just a really cool flick.
That's right up there with Dog Soldiers for me.
Dog Soldiers. Yes, absolutely. I like. I guess I like Dog Soldiers. All right.
What?
Here's another one that this was a huge for a horror film release. This was a huge theatrical release that played in thousands of theaters across the entire country. But it kind of it didn't seem to sustain like a great group of what's the word? Like pop culture cult group that a lot of films do. But this was a really fun film, and I think a lot of people haven't seen it. You should check out Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Did you see this one, Joe?
I did.
Okay. Did you not like this one?
I did not like that one.
Why didn't you like it?
I just couldn't get into it.
You know what's funny? It's such a weird and silly premise that how's it going? Very fine. How's it going with you, Indie Escape Network family?
I'm not sure who that is.
I thought that would be you.
That's not me.
Okay. We just never knew these things. So, yep, that was I thought it was a cool monster flick with really good special effects and a cool, Abe Lincoln fighting vampires. How can you go wrong? I paid good money to see that in a movie. Thank you, CJ. I'm glad somebody agrees with me once in a while on something around here. I hope you're well, CJ.
Brown-noser kids.
Did CJ have a birthday since we last were on?
I think he did.
Happy birthday, CJ. I'm not sure if you did or if we got to tell you last time. Lucy has nothing but the finest... Not it. I don't know what that means. She has the finest taste, and I think she said that she's excited about my werewolf film. Thank you very much. I'm glad somebody is. But me and Grunkle Scott are in that, and it was on Tuesday. There you go. Happy birthday, CJ. It was me and Grunkle Scott were in it, and show favorite Marianne Hagen from Halloween. She was Kara Strode, of course. And all wonderful cameos that you're going to see when the movie ultimately comes out, whenever the hell they decide to put it out. There you go. Joe plays the guy with that little red hood on the far right. Nice.
He wouldn't be little then.
Now, this movie, I don't think a lot of people know about it. And Joe, did you know there was a prequel to The Exorcist?
I kind of recall it.
It actually starred Stellan Skarsgård, who everybody loves from the Robin Williams flick with Matt Damon. I always forget the name of that movie. Good Will Hunting. Stellan Skarsgård, and he's also in the MCU. He plays somebody, I don't know. And this was Exorcist: The Dominion.
Yes, I recall hearing about it.
Now there were two versions of this movie.
Oh, and
One
why is
that a
that?
studio released that was absolutely dreadful. But if you track down director Paul Schrader's widescreen director's cut, which is a totally different film than what they put out in theaters, it's really, really an enjoyable flick. So, to recap, if you have no life like me, whoa, I'm dropping everything. If you have no life like me, watch Howl, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, and Dominion, the prequel to The Exorcist. Without further ado, let's bring on a man who needs no what's the word I'm looking for? No silence? Introduction. That's the word I was looking for. The man who needs no introduction. That's usually what goes after the man who needs no.
You've said it so many times in the past 2 years.
David and Joe, it's Brandon from IOU under the Indie Escape Network home. Looking forward to awesome.
Brandon, who was just in Florida filming as well.
Oh, congratulations, Brandon. I know you're a wonderful filmmaker, and I can't wait to see what you're working on. It's going to be great. Without further ado, let's bring the man, the myth, the legend, Grunkle Scott Schiaffo. Grunkle Scott, how are you, my dear friend?
Hey, how's it going, guys? How are you?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
Okay, I'm hanging in there.
Literally hanging in there.
Well, some things are hanging in there.
Ken saying, Scott! Scott!
Ken always says, Scott.
I wish somebody would just once go, Dave! Nobody ever says Dave. They're just like,
me?
it's
I feel so left
backfire.
out. The hell?
Everybody loves Joe.
No, this is true. Thank you.
It used to be blame Joe. Since then, it's everybody loves Joe. You're kind of like Raymond without all that talent baggage.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you know I love you. How many times have I used that specific stupid joke before? Like a gazillion times. Okay. Well, our first guest tonight is a wonderful, wonderful filmmaker who hope you are feeling better, Scott.
Thank you.
She doesn't check to see if I'm feeling well, if I'm under the weather, if I,
Or if
something's
Dave,
wrong.
why did Dave shave his goatee and why he looks like he does tonight and why?
Well, okay. Before we go, John will pick you up in 2 seconds, I promise. Joe has been Scott, I'll go to you first. Joe has been giving me hell about shaving off my beard and my beard and goatee and whatever the hell you call it. I had more of a beard last show. Do you see as big a problem as Joe does with the shaving of the goatee?
No, not at all. I mean, it's jarring at first. I think that's probably why he said what he said.
I'll take 70 porn mustache for 1,000, Alex.
There you go.
Well, I need a job. If I need a job, I'll be ready to work. 70 porn mustache. Thank you. Well, it's coming back. Next show, it'll be back, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have to look at my weird 70s porn face again. Now, she made me feel really self-conscious about it, Joe. Thank you. Without further ado, wonderful, talented producer, director, writer, and just a great guy. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. John Johnson.
Hi,
Hey, Jen. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely my pleasure. And now, John, I think I know you since about 2011 or 12 when we did a convention together. I think it was maybe in Altoona, or maybe I think so.
Somewhere.
And I've been a big fan of your work since then, and I just I've had this show on now for almost 2 years, and I'm glad that I was able to finally get you on. John, tell us a little bit about who inspired you to become a filmmaker when you were growing up. What filmmaker out there caught John Johnson's eye as a young man? And you said, hell, I want to make movies like that guy does.
I believe it was Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
I happened to catch Aliens and Evil Dead 2 in the same night.
Oh.
and like the whole everything just turned. And actually, before that, it was a TV show called V that I watched religiously.
Oh, I love that show.
Yeah.
I remember when I'm probably a little bit older than you are, but when V came out, if you remember, one of the very first scenes is the aliens would eat like rodents, like guinea pigs,
They're melting.
and yeah, and there was this alien. She was a really beautiful blonde, as I recall, unless my memory fails me, and she was the very first person on the show. She takes like a guinea pig and she opens up her mouth, and then you see the guinea pig, like, you know how like when a snake eats a rabbit or something and he's all elongated, you see the guinea pig go down her throat, and it was just horrifying.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. It was the Beastmaster in the vent who was watching it happen.
Oh, right.
right.
Mark Singer. Do I have the right name?
Yeah, Mark Singer. Yeah.
Yeah. So Sam Raimi. Okay. Now, are you like more of a student of 80s horror? Is that what you say was your niche, or were you more of like a 90s guy?
I guess a mix, but a lot of the straight to video stuff is what I kind of lived off of. Anthony Hitchcock's Waxwork, Waxwork 2, Sundown Vampire Retreat. Like he was like, I think he's kind of my hero.
Now, it's funny that you bring up Waxwork, because we had the star of Waxwork on, Zach Galligan,
Oh yeah.
not too long ago, and he actually had some really wonderful things to say about Anthony Hitchcock's. And to this day, John, I think Anthony Hitchcock's Werewolf in Waxwork, I think it's the segment with John Rhys Davis, as I recall,
Yeah.
is by far one of the best werewolf transformation scenes and one of the best werewolf anythings that have been put on film in the last 30 years. Would you say that's kind of a fair assessment?
I agree. And then when the younger guy started changing too, I guess later in the film, I think it's about
Yeah, Dana Ashbrook, I think the guy from all the David Lynch movies.
Yeah.
Yep. That was just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful film. Now, I know you've worked on, I'm looking at your IMDb because there's no way I could remember all of these titles that you worked on, because you're a very, very prolific filmmaker. One that I wanted to ask you about in particular is I know you got to work with the great Conrad Brooks on a couple occasions, if I recall.
Yeah.
Me and Scott got to work with Conrad, not directly with Conrad, but me and Scott were honored to be in Libby McDermott's Darkness Waits. I think it's Conrad Brooks' last film. But I think you worked with Conrad on a handful of occasions, including your Plan 9 from Outer Space remake. Tell us a little bit about what it was like working with Conrad.
Well, Connie was the man's like kind of like old school salesman. In fact, I've got some of his coffee back on the shelf back here. He would constantly just like, Johnny, I want to sleep on your floor, Johnny. I can't go anywhere, Johnny. I got to remember the convention. He would like. We started talking, and then he told me a story about Plan 9 and how it was kind of a sad story. It wasn't quite the Tim Burton, like they all drove off into the sunset, like making the greatest movie ever made. They didn't get any work. They all kind of like, it went kind of bad for a lot of them. And Connie told me that he just said he wished like we could do something about it. And I was complaining about remakes, and I was asked if I could remake any movie in the world, what would I do? And I said I'd remake Plan 9 and try to not make fun of it, try to do the kind of, I guess, schlock fest that's like fun that we all kind of love, and try to do justice if I could. And I sent out a mass text and just said like, I'm gonna remake Plan 9 from Outer Space. And then 2 weeks later, I was in Fangoria. They called me up and they're like, dude, you need to get a Fango right now. It's like Val Kilmer doing this, John Johnson doing Plan 9. I didn't know it was public domain at that point. I knew nothing. I was like, oh my God, I've made some mistakes. But I called up Connie and I told him about it, and then he gave me his blessing, and we made the film. And he actually, when he passed, he had a copy of the film on his bedside table, and a collector bought it, found me in Jersey, autographed it, and it's down in a museum in New Jersey, I believe.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, you did a wonderful, wonderful job with that film, John. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Like to take a work like that and actually be able to put a little bit of your own signature on it, I thought was fantastic. I'm going to shoot out some titles of things that you've worked on, and just tell me what your first thought of think of when I say the titles.
Okay.
The Fright Before Christmas.
One hell of a weekend.
You shot that with Monique Dupree, who was on this show.
Yeah. All good, yeah, well.
Yep. So that's all you got? One hell of a weekend?
Yeah, it was I wasn't supposed to play the bad guy. I was supposed to be one of the victims.
Uh-huh.
And then they just decided last minute, like, well, if you play the bad guy. And I was like, oh no. So I put on the Santa outfit and murdered people for a weekend, and it was fun.
A little bit of a
kind of like it was like no sleep, just like 48 hours of murder mayhem.
What about Skeleton Key?
Skeleton Key is like the one I think I'll be remembered for when they bury me. In fact, I did a shoot with Conrad. That was the first movie we worked on. He introduced Skeleton Key 1 through 4. We shot them all in one night because he said, Johnny, I may be dead, Johnny. You might want to shoot me all right now. Of course, he lived like 15 years after that. But, but yeah, we did that. And then, yeah, it was Skeleton Key is definitely the one that, like I'll be in like a Walmart and I'll hear somebody just go like, Skeleton Key. And I'll walk around the corner and then somebody's seen the movie and, yeah, I don't know if I'd call it like a good film, but it's definitely one that I'll be remembered for.
No, it's definitely a fun film. It's definitely a fun film. How was it working with Debbie Roshan, John?
Oh, she was a sweetheart. She was like super kind and just really nice because at the time we had like no money. We were working with it was like one light with like non-flammable tissue paper was our gels, and Debbie came in for the day and just made everything really nice and like just awesome. She actually took some pictures. She did a book recently, and she has a whole section on Skeleton Key in her book because she called me up and wanted like pictures from set and stuff like that. So it was really cool. Wow. So she had a good experience too.
Awesome.
Bad.
Did you ever get to work with what's her name? Tiffany Shepard?
No, I haven't worked with Tiffany. I have met her a few times, but no.
Thank your lucky stars.
I don't know.
We love Tiffany here. We're just joking. So, John, I know from being a friend of yours and seeing on Facebook that you recently are a new dad. Tell us a little bit about how that is.
Once again, no sleep. It's kind of like making the Fright Before Christmas. But no, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah, I tell you, being a dad was the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. But it's unbelievably painful, John, when they get up right after high school and go off to college. It's just such weird adjustment that you have to be prepared for. So get ready for it because the time goes by quicker than you would think. John, tell us a little bit about what you have. I know you're working on some projects now. What do you got cooking?
Well, we did a show on Periscope called Captain Quarantine.
Okay.
Which I did a horror host show, and we're getting inducted into the National Archives in the pandemic section. We did 88 episodes, and now Amazon is doing a 6-episode run. We're kind of reinventing the show and hosting our films, I guess, within it versus like public domain films. Mm-hmm. We are doing something called Not So Silent Films, which we're actually dubbing old silent films like Nosferatu.
It's gonna be cool.
All comedians doing it. Nosferatu is being played by Bill Cosby. He was trying to give was it roofie coladas? I think is what he keeps saying. He just keeps doing it. I'm like, yeah, it's that's been a lot of fun, and I think they air 6 episodes in like 2 months. I guess when the first season comes out.
Sweet. Now, I know your beautiful and lovely, talented wife, Mariah. Is she working on these projects with you?
She is. She's pretty much everything. She does all the makeup effects and plays Dr. Elemental.
Oh, awesome. You know what? Do me a favor. Before we wrap up, make sure you ask her. I would love to have her on the show one night. She's an awesomely talented artist in and of herself.
Absolutely.
John, is there anything you want to promote before we let you go?
Well, I've got a new movie I'm working on called Breathless, which is a kind of a return to an old genre of a thriller. What was it? Suspense thriller that they had put up. Forgive me a second. I have a mild case of Parkinson's. It's filling up at the moment, but I'm just dodging bullets, just so everybody knows I'm fine.
You're golden, brother.
You know, John, I didn't want to mention anything like that, but I want you to know that I know what you're dealing with, and it makes me respect you and love you even more. You're an incredible inspiration to many. You are dealing with some shit that really sucks, just from me talking to you man to man.
Yeah.
But you man up and you pull your big boy pants on, and you live your life and you do the things that inspire people. And to that, I have nothing but the utmost love and respect for you for that. So please know that nothing will ever change you from being a brilliant, smart, and superbly talented filmmaker.
Thank you.
And I mean it.
I got to hit this comment. Our buddy Jaysen Buterin, Johnny and
Hey,
I are
Jaysen.
just the best.
All right.
Oh, and he also kicks serious ass in Chuck E. Cheese, or in a Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh, yes.
Nice.
Should we even ask?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, so Breathless is a suspense thriller which they invented, I think, because Silence of the Lambs did not want to be listed as a horror film when it won Best Picture. So they came up with suspense thriller. So I'm kind of making one, like going back to that old style just to see what it's like and see if people respond to it.
You know, I think what engages people to your films is that not only are they like darkly funny. Like I get a lot of. Were you inspired by the film Heathers?
Oh yeah, Slater is definitely a huge inspiration for me for a lot of my dialogue.
Yeah, I could tell when I watch your films that you were inspired by like films like Heathers and by Christian Slater. And your films have this wonderful wit to them. They're always well performed and they're always really good stories that you tell. And seriously, John, all kidding aside, I think you're just an awesome filmmaker. So everybody out there who's watching tonight, check out, John, do you have like social media sites and platforms people can go to look at your material?
Yes, I think if you go to my Facebook or my TikTok, which is DFlix, there'll be like a beacons link that kind of sends you everywhere, and then darkstone-ent.com.
Awesome. John, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Anytime that you guys have anything that you ever need to promote or you want to get word out, please just give me a call or a toot on Facebook, and we'll have you on right away because you're an inspiration to us all.
Absolutely.
You're a wonderful
Look for your werewolf film.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Maybe someday before, I don't know, the sun explodes, that movie will actually see the light of day.
I hope so.
Yeah, John, you know what it is. Sometimes when you hand a film into a distributor, you're kind of at their mercy.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. John, ladies and gentlemen, John Johnson. John, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, John.
And
Thanks,
be
John.
well and enjoy being a dad because it's going to be the best time of your life. I assure you that.
Thank you, sir.
Everybody, John. Thank you, John.
Hi, guys.
Good night.
Be well.
Well, I mean, he got one thing right. You know, having kids is like making a movie. You're up constantly, and they cost a freaking fortune.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Isn't he a wonderful guy?
He is.
What a
He's a
sweetheart.
wonderful,
Guy.
wonderful guy. And he's working on films. He's not feeling all that great, and he's a dad. and he still found the time to talk with morons like us. So, John, thank you so much. You're a great guy, a great filmmaker, and everybody out there who's watching either live tonight or in the future when you watch us archived, check out John's work because
Well,
he's
see, now I want to go to Chuck E. Cheese with him and Jaysen Buterin and find out what the hell's going on there.
Yes,
I got
absolutely.
to see the Plan 9 remake. I can't even believe that got past me.
Yeah, no, it was actually, and it got wide scale distribution, Scott. It was in Walmart and Targets. It got wide scale video
That's really awesome.
distribution. So he's a great guy. Now I have a dear friend who's been on our show before, Michael Madison, who Indie Rights Productions, I think, is his company. He's the president. He was on our show a long time ago. And he's got some wonderful films and filmmakers that he's putting us onto. And our next guests are wonderful filmmakers who are joining us from Los Angeles. Sigal, she told me earlier, Erez is, I think, a producer and an actress and just a filmmaker. Is she ready to come on?
Give me a thumbs up, Sigal, if you're ready to come on. She is ready.
Alrighty. So, ladies and gentlemen, Sigal Erez. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names. Maybe she could pop on and just make me look better. Which is, she's a beautiful lady. This should be easy.
David, you said it so well before.
I know. You know what the problem is? I get, when people are watching, I start to overthink things, and then my big swollen head gets sweaty, and I start making a mess of everything. But
Well, especially
I
when it comes
tried.
to beautiful women, he gets
Okay.
stuttered.
So instead of Sigal, just say Sigal. Just
Sigal.
emphasize it, right.
Why didn't you guys help
And
me?
Sigal, you said it before, but you said it perfect before.
It's so fun watching you squirm. Why wouldn't we?
Oh, okay.
So it's Sigal Erez.
Sigal Erez.
It is.
Did I do it better that time?
Perfect.
You got to roll that tongue, man.
Okay.
Roll your arms.
I've heard worse than that. I've heard Sigil. When I get the calls, is Sigil there? I hang up because I know they're selling me something. So it's like, it's a good filter.
Great.
So I'm just going to call you Miss Erez. Is that better?
However you want. If you want a short name like my family calls me, is Siggy.
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 Okay. Is it okay? I will call you Siggy because even I can't screw that up.
Okay.
Siggy, I've heard nothing but wonderful things about you and High Water Films and your film projects. I'm going to ask you a question. I love asking filmmakers. This is a question I ask everybody from the biggest movie stars we have on here to independent filmmakers to anybody who loves just being an artist. Who inspired you to become a filmmaker or to work in films?
Interesting question in my case because I'm a daughter of a storyteller.
Oh, okay.
So in some ways, I would say that the fact that my father would tell us stories. My father was a merchant marine, traveled all over the world. And if you guys know what merchant marine is the opposite of a cruise ship. It's where the containers are sitting on big ship right now in Long Beach. So those ships are interesting. They go all over the world with different merchandise. Sometimes it's a secret. We don't know what it is that's going from one port to the other. But my dad literally been to so many ports all over the world that he would come and tell us a lot of stories. And I just felt like I was seeing the stories. So when he was speaking, I am visualizing stories. And that is how I kind of felt like this is going to be movies one day. I don't know. It was like a little, storage in my head. But a movie like Das Boot, Marty, if he's there, he knows how much I love that movie. I felt that movie just was a magic because it had everything. The emotion to feel for the enemy. I just felt like Das Boot was a big influence for me to want to be a filmmaker because I saw everything in one movie. I saw the acting and the writing and I saw the music and the way the camera told me the story. I just, this is a movie I showed my son, little Jacob is 17 now, but I forced that movie on him since he's little. I'd be like, Jacob, you have to watch this movie. And now Jacob loves that movie, and he loves it for the same reason I love that movie.
Now, I know that you have in our green room an associate of yours who works on films with you. Why don't you introduce our other guests?
For sure. So I'm a writer, actress, director, but our guest here is Martin Spottle, who directed Across the Line. So Across the Line is a border thriller. We were very much ahead of our time with this subject. Marty and I co-wrote that screenplay together. Marty directed it, and I played Miranda. And so Marty, join us.
Hi, Marty. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, David? Hi, Sigal. or is it Sigal? So the hint on that is think of Steven Seagal.
I know. She told me earlier. You know what the problem is, Martin? I'm at that age where nothing works anymore, anywhere. From like the tip of my hair to my toes, everything is potluck. So I kind of just, I wing it to the best I can.
That's what makes it fun and entertaining. So,
Martin, tell me, what when you were a young man growing up, who inspired you to become a filmmaker? Because I mean, I see you direct a film with Brian Bloom in it. That's wonderful.
So I guess for me, I wanted to tell stories. I was a writer, and I wanted to look, for ways to tell stories and create characters. And I thought movies would be the most accessible way. The most people would be exposed to your stories. But I was under the impression that you would have to be like born into the movies. That you had to have family, which is maybe not so far from the truth in some ways, but. That one couldn't get into the business in any way, that it was purely nepotism. And I was in college, and I was reading an article, and it was about Francis Ford Coppola, and it was sort of critical of him, and it was saying that he was in film school while Vietnam was going on, and here he comes out with Apocalypse Now. But the thing that stood out to me was it said film school. And I didn't know there was even such a thing as film school. And I was in college at the time. And I was like, oh, you can go to school and learn and actually get credentials and maybe, enter into the business in some way. The idea was new to me. I hadn't been exposed to it. So I said, I wonder if my school has it. And I was going to Dartmouth College at the time. I looked in the brochure, and sure enough, there was actually a film department. It had, maybe 2 or 3 professors in it. It was tiny. But there was actually classes that were there that you could take. So I started taking the classes, and I ended up coming out here, coming to Los Angeles to go to USC Film School. So it was just discovering that there was some sort of path that one could take to tell stories in film. I was like, I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to follow that path as much as I could, because what cooler thing to do than to make movies.
That's awesome. I see that Brad Johnson was also in that film. I don't know if you guys remember, he did a film with Richard Dreyfuss called Always.
Always, yeah.
Just a wonderful, wonderful film. Was John Goodman also in that movie, or have I got it mixed up with something else?
Always had Richard Dreyfuss and...
Holly Hunter.
Holly Hunter.
Yes. Brad Johnson.
He was also in Flight of the Intruder with Danny Glover and Willem Dafoe. He did some big stuff. Spielberg always was Spielberg's movie.
Yeah, no, he's a wonderful, wonderful actor. I mean,
you're very lucky to get him. Very fortunate to get him.
Excellent guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have a little trivia for you.
Okay.
So Brad told me that he was the first choice for Steven Spielberg to play Oskar Schindler.
Oh, wow.
He read the script, and he was going to play Oskar Schindler, but it wasn't going to be a long process because they had to go to Europe and be there for a while. And right when he was saying yes to that, his wife was diagnosed with cancer, and his mother was diagnosed with cancer. So both women in his life. And he had to make the choice that he is not going to be able to go to Europe and be there for 7-8 months. So
Oh.
he said no to that to take care of his family. And then second choice was Liam Neeson.
You know, it's funny because if you think about it, at the time, Liam Neeson was not a superstar or a household name by any stretch of the imagination when Schindler's List was made. I think he was best known for Sam Raimi's Darkman pictures at that time. So Brad Johnson actually would have been a bigger star at the time to play Oscar Schindler than I think Liam Neeson was. Maybe I'm wrong.
When you see Oscar Schindler's, whatever you have a description, pictures, he does look a little bit like him too.
Mm-hmm.
Johnson does.
Now I have tons and tons, literally hundreds of independent filmmakers and producers and distributors who watch this show, and you guys are right in the heartbeat of independent cinema. What would you guys tell a kid out there who just got a 4K DSLR and has a passion to tell their first story, their first film? What would you tell them to help them move along in that process?
Marty, you want to go?
Well, so I had the opportunity to teach students over at UCLA for a while, and one of the things I did was I helped them make their first film, and they did a short, film, 10, 15 minutes, whatever they could put together, basically. And I guess the big thing, if you want to make a movie and you don't have money, you just got to use what you got, right? So you got to, what do I have access to, and what can I make something out of it? And I guess the other thing is to learn how to make your limitations a strength, because when you can't go to the expensive solution to your problems. You have to come up with something a little bit more inventive, not the obvious thing. Maybe you have to come up with something that comes out of the character instead of comes out of special effects or explosions. And so to think about the lack of resources is actually an opportunity to be more creative and do something maybe cooler than somebody that had a lot of money would do. And yet you've seen people that have made great movies with little money, and then they get a bunch of money and they can't make a great movie anymore. So,
No, that's usually the case. I mean, it's very, very true. Scott was in probably one of the biggest all-time independent films of all time, Clerks. And I think what made Clerks work, it was shot, everybody could tell it was shot on 16 millimeter black and white film stock. But what made that work is what was on paper. It was really, really wonderful, wonderful writing. And then Kevin got performances out of like Brian O'Halloran and Scott here and Jeff Anderson and all the cats that made that first Clerks movie so wonderful. Is that's a performance-based film. And I think even like My Dinner with Andre, one of the greatest films of all time. It's two guys, Wallace Shawn and another guy, I can't remember his name, sitting across from a table, discussing the topics of the day. So I agree with you 100% on being able to use what's available to you. But I think it's fair to say that having something really solid on paper too is right. Super important. What do you think, Scott? Do you think that's a fair assessment?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Clerks, it was the dialogue and the everyman factor of that appealed to a large amount of people. I mean, at some point in most people's lives, you work kind of a job where you have to deal with the public, and it's less than stunning. So,
Sigal, now I know you wrote Across the Line, and please forgive me. Michael only reached out to me very late last week about having you on the show. So I usually watch every piece of work, and I promise you, if you guys will be on again, we'd love to have you. I will be much more in tune with the film. Tell us a little bit about what your process was in writing that, and tell us a little bit about what it's about, because sadly I haven't seen it yet, but it's going to be the first thing I do tomorrow because I just got home tonight. And
I promise you will really enjoy it.
I have no doubt.
So Across the Line, Marty and I we met when Marty graduated from USC, and I saw a wonderful short film that he made called Stones in My Pathway. And I felt like Marty will understand my imagination and my creativity. So I remember approaching him and showing him, I think it was 2 pages, right, about Across the Line. So the original idea for Across the Line was, Marty, I want to tell a story of an illegal immigrant who's going to cross the border, and she's going to hide in the back of an RV of an American couple that are just going to head back to America. They did their tour in Mexico, and it's very casual. I wanted to see something very simple at first, but they're going to make a stop, and they're going to witness a horrible crime on the Texas border. And I think Marty loved the idea too. And we started developing the script together, that it will really be Miranda, the female protagonist, that's going to lead the plot. So I think we were ahead of our time in many ways, because this is an illegal immigrant going to play a protagonist and going to be also presented in a very positive light, because she crosses the border illegally. She sneaks into the RV of the American couple while they're buying some gifts. And they're heading just back to America. They're taking a little stop for the sunrise. The husband loves to take pictures. As he's taking pictures, he stumbles upon this crime scene. So now you have a couple who are witnessing something very illegal happening. And Across the Line really is very fair on both sides. There is no one side to the border issue. It's a very complex, and I think we're doing a great job telling that story. And Marty did a wonderful job directing the movie and really showing you that duality. But the couple, unfortunately, you should watch the movie, Kaput. And
so just to mention, Adrienne Barbeau has a role in this part of the story, and she has a great history in John Carpenter movies and everything.
I just did a movie with her called Malevolence 3. So yes, Adrienne's fantastic.
She's the best.
Yeah. She played the wife, so they were the couple, the Texan couple.
Joe, one second, Joe. I'm sorry, and I don't mean to Sigal to interrupt you, but exactly your passion for your story and how well you were telling us about it, it's evident that it was just a well-written piece of work, and I can't wait to see it, to be honest with you. And that's exactly the point I was trying to make earlier with a lot of independent filmmakers who watch this show. You can have the passion to make a film, but make sure before you put all that time and effort into it, and money, and anything asset that you're going to put into your independent film, make sure that you have the passion that this young lady has in writing the script and making sure that you have words on paper that's going to convey an interesting story. And I've made the mistake myself of getting stars in movies and just shooting something that I thought was a wonderful concept, and I didn't take enough time to flush it out on paper. And once your film's out there, it's out there forever. You can't, you don't get a do-over. So please listen to all of us who have worked on independent cinema and on films with some really wonderful people. It's very, very important to have wonderful words on paper. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to say that because you're telling your story about the film, and you have a glow, and you're passionate about telling the story, and you're smiling, and that's contagious, and that's infectious, and it makes me want to, the minute I'm off, watch your film. And that's what I'm trying to convey to people out there of how important that is when you make films. Don't get caught up in it being 4K or 1080p. Don't get caught up in tell the damn story, and tell a good one, and your independent film will be worlds better for taking that approach. I'm sorry, I'll stop pontificating. I think I had too much whipped cream. I'm a diabetic, and I'm allowed to have whipped cream is one of the things I'm allowed to have. So I was there with the can, like ODing on Ready Whip.
That's called a whip it.
Oh well, you should have told me that before I did it. You were going to say something, Joe, earlier.
I was. Siggy, can you please answer this question for our friend CJ? Can you see the question? I'm
Was
sorry.
it
I should ask
shot
that first.
on the border La Frontera?
Oh, hola. We shot it in Palmdale. And Marty could tell you a little bit about the challenges of making Palmdale look like El Paso, Texas.
So we would have loved to go down to the border to shoot it for sure. And our original plan was to do so, but money stood in the way of that. We had our crew and our people, and we cast everybody here. And to get everybody to drive out to Palmdale was about as far as I could get them. So, but we took full use of that high desert landscape, and it looks all right. You know, I think one Joshua tree snuck in there a little bit.
Right.
Don't tell anybody. You're into the story, so it's okay.
There you
Now,
go.
where can this particular is this film just been recently like re-released?
Yes.
So
Is it with Michael's company?
Yes.
It is.
Oh, wonderful
It's
company Michael
streaming,
has there.
streaming all over the place. I got a list for you: the Roku channel and Roku, Tubi TV, Amazon Prime, YouTube, Google Play. Just search for Across the Line.
It's everywhere.
It's Across the
It is
Line
everywhere.
2000, and there have been other Across the Lines, but they all came after, and they stole my title. So
Yeah.
our title, I should
We
say.
literally had like 370,000 people watching it on one of the platform in a week. And so when the movie came out in 2000, there was no social media. So we went to San Diego. We opened the San Diego Film Festival. We won an award in Houston Film Festival. Texas A&M invited us. And then we had a distribution nightmare. Flash forward in 2022, I am flooded with messages on Instagram and Facebook and people who are watching it and commenting. But it's interesting because it's a dialogue that we didn't have in 2000. And here we are 22 years later, so much discussion about the border, and people are almost thinking it's a new movie. They don't realize that we made it 22 years ago.
Well, when it first came out, Lionsgate distributed it on video, and but you didn't get any feedback from, and of course we got ripped off by Lionsgate, of course.
Of course, yeah, I know that story.
So the distribution nightmare involves getting ripped off left and right, and losing control of your product, which happened for 15 years essentially. So they did 2 DVD releases of it, VHS DVD releases. They had given us a little small sum up front, but by the time you start paying, I'm not going to get into it. In any case, after 15 years, we got our movie back because the contract expired, and so we gained ownership of the movie, control of the movie, and so we created a high def version of it, and we are now streaming it, and you can find it if you look for Across the Line, starring Sigal Erez.
Yeah.
Brad Johnson and
Brad Johnson. Yes.
and really everyone like I'm sure you guys will agree, right? Scott, filmmakers, David, Joe, casting is so important. It's like making your life easier.
Mhm.
The movie just comes across so naturally when the right people are in the right roles. So in Across the Line, fabulous job casting. I think you have there. It was really easy for us, I think, right, Marty?
Yeah.
We had Martin Sheen was going to play the diner owner.
Mhm.
He signed, and then we had to wait for him because he was doing maybe West Wing or something. But then we got J.C. Queen, who passed a few years ago, and he was a veteran actor, so he was wonderful to work with too. So the whole experience was a positive experience with a good.
Can I give you guys a little tip if you're promoting it for friends to watch it on streaming? Send people to Tubi. It's the best. It pays the best.
Yeah. Tubi's good.
Yep. Okay. With that being said, we're actually getting almost to the end of the program. I wanted to ask you guys: are there any projects that you guys are currently working on that you would like people to know about? We'll go start with you, Martin.
Well, I wish I had something in the theaters right now, but I'm writing something about the guys who brought you the war on drugs in the 1930s, and I'm hoping to get that out there. But it's going to be a little process.
Sweet. And where
And-
can people find you on social media? Do you have any place that people can find your work? And
Yeah, sure. martinspaudle.com. It's an L at the end there. I know it looks like an I to people, but martinspaudle.com, and that has links to Across the Line and all my other social media. Sure.
that's
Thanks.
awesome. And Sigal, see, I did it right that time.
Good job, David.
See, like after a while, the two sticks up there start to connect. A little spark happens, and the words start functioning again.
Very nice.
What do you got cooking?
So I actually have a bunch of things. There's one movie that you can find out there. I don't know if you can see it here. It's called What's Your Number?
Okay.
It's about the kind of unlikely friendship between a Holocaust survivor and an African American kid.
Hmm.
That movie's out there. I wrote and directed it. You can find it in different platforms. And now I'm in pre-production on a thriller called Serial Beauty. But I don't want to tell you what it's about, but I will just say to you that so much of the story is in the name. Serial Beauty, serial killer, and there's a lot of mystical elements to the story.
No, that sounds wonderful.
So it's
And
gonna.
Sigal, where can people find you online?
Oh, so you can find me on at Sigal Del Rey on Instagram. You can find me on highwaterfilms.com. And Facebook, Sigal Erez.
Awesome. I want everybody watching tonight, please check out their film Across the Line. I'm going to, it's 10:57. I'll be eat a little slice of pizza at 11:15. I'll have it on the tube. I'll be up till 2:00 in the morning like a schnook watching this movie. Good, but I'm super excited. Everybody check out Across the Line, where all finer streaming films are. Martin, it's an absolute pleasure to meet you. I hope to maybe someday work with you. You seem like a great guy and a really smart filmmaker. And Sigal, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I can't wait to see your films and everything you got cooking. And if you guys ever have anything that you wish to promote, just give me a holler, and we would love to have you guys back on. The Indie Escape Network is an enormous network that we have tons of shows on. This is one of the flagship shows. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was an absolute pleasure and honor to meet you guys.
Thank you for having us. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
thanks. Appreciate it.
Ladies
Good
and
night.
gentlemen, thank you very much.
That was
Wow.
spectacular.
Show was like really, really wonderful tonight. Super informative. And you know what? I tell you, everybody on this show tonight is someone that you could look up to as far as people who are out there working and hustling and trying to get their art out there and trying to make their dreams come true. But with that being said, again, Johnny Johnson, you're just a great guy and an icon now in B horror movie cinema, and with the obstacles that sadly you're facing right now, just really wonderful job directing and making films, and you're one of my heroes in filmmaking. So, and all of and Martin and Sigal were just absolutely wonderful to have on the show, and I can't wait to. I'm actually going to check out. I just was on IMDb, and I'm going to check out everything that they have out there that's available, because you could tell that they're very, very smart and very, very passionate about filmmaking. So I was super excited to have them all on the show. What do you think, Scott?
I agree wholeheartedly. It's wonderful to speak to people who have that level of passion and make their dreams a reality. And it really is all about that script. If you don't have passion for that script, you could dress it up, throw $1 zillion at it, put big names in it. But if there's not a lot of real passion in the writing, you're probably dead in the water.
Yep, and that was what was so charming and endearing about Sigal, was that she was so, I mean, I asked her, like, tell us about your movie, and then all of a sudden she was very businesslike and very professional, like doing a program. But then once she wanted to talk about her art, she started to get that glow. And that's when you know somebody has a passion for it and a talent for it, and that's what makes doing these type of things wonderful. So, Joe, is there anything else other than trying to beat people with a wet noodle to get on the Indie Escape network on Yahoo?
YouTube.
No, YouTube.
Wow. Yahoo.
Yahoo.
Joe, you know that this isn't my bag. So I apologize. So
Let's go back to 1993, and we're all going on Yahoo. All right. No, ladies and gentlemen that are still joining us, please make sure you go to Dave Lee Madison's The End of the Night Facebook page, hit the subscribe button. Yeah, see, now Dave's got me all confused. Also, go to the Indie Escape Network on the Facebook page, hit the subscribe button, and the YouTube channel. Subscribe, hit the bell, do all those great things, and we greatly appreciate it. Again, it doesn't cost you a thing, but it means the world to us.
Exactly. And Mr. Schiaffo, do you have anything you want to say in parting?
I don't, actually. I just want to thank everybody for continued support through this tenuous time, Mr. Hernia. But hoping to get that operation soon and move on with it, man.
Scott, I want to get that video on our TikTok page. Can I?
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you.
All right. With that being said, next time we convene, I will probably no longer have 70s porn star mustache, so that people don't have to be upset with looking at
wait
my
a minute.
mug.
Somebody, wait, who was it? It was, Sienna said it was more like a, where was it? Magnum mustache.
Oh, man.
Tom Selleck.
I will take very Tom Selleck. Thank you. Luciana's always got my back. That's very, very kind of her. I could use friends like that. With that being said, what was I going to say? Oh, with that being said, remember, no man's a failure who has friends. We will see you when we see you.
I'm supposed to hit a button, aren't I?